right, good morning. Back at it again with you. Bruce here from Targeted Wealth Creation. I'm going to do YBIT for you guys. YBIT's performing pretty well recently. Crypto's doing well as well. So let's go. Whoops, I created a new May tab because we are in May and I'm trying to do the accounting properly from month to month so I can give you guys accurate projections, although YBIT didn't pay because it's a brand new fund. So let's jump in here. What happened yesterday on Monday? BITO was up 1.74% and we in YBIT were up 1.5%. We also additionally, these are the trading positions. So in these smaller funds, and they actually added a synthetic. A lot of the big funds, well, I shouldn't say a lot of them don't, because Tesla does, and some of the really older large ones where you have just a tremendous amount of outstanding shares. But in a little one like YBIT, they had a 29 synthetic, right? We still have the 29 synthetic, and that's out on 5/17. So they will roll that synthetic, here we go, as we get closer. But today, they didn't close it out. Unlike like if you saw my Misty closed out their 5/17, and they went all the way to 7/19. Coney still got a 5/17. So BITO has it 629 or 629. It's $29 synthetic, so they added a $26 synthetic on BITO. So whenever you add a synthetic, it's buy a call. If you close one out, you do reverse, but when you put them on, you buy a call. So they bought a $26 call out on June 21st for $1.70, right? Because we were trading under $26. So they put a put at $26 and they collected $3.10. Always the same amount and always the same strike price, right? One's a buy a call and one is sell short a put. And they put on a 26.5, same amount of contracts, but this is the weekly sell short call. So this one's out to 510. So now that I've showed you in the intraday movement, let's go see what it looks like on this. So here we are in May. So I said we didn't quite do as well as BITO, but we had a nice move. So let me show you where things are as we go into two and a half hours before the market opens. Here's my Thinkorswim. This one is showing you BITO, right? The blacks are the active trading days and the gray is in between, right? After hours. And then the dotted line coming down is the midnight, right into the next day. So here we're midnight, now we're 7 in the morning East Coast time. And we've moved up since the close of yesterday, just like in the pre-market before yesterday, Saturday and Sunday we were up. So we're at $26 in BITO, right? And let's take a look at BTC. I think that's around 64, high 63s. Yeah, 64, oh nice, 64, 480, yeah. So here, since it trades all the time, you don't really have the intraday, but you have this time zone, right? This is midnight on Sunday, this is midnight on Monday, right? So now we're into 7 in the morning Eastern time. We're trading at about 64.4. Hence, BITO's up, right? So if YBIT was already trading, it's going to be moving up. So I thought I would just mention that for you guys. So again, it closed at 25.66. We put on these weeklies, right? We put on 930 contracts at a strike price of 26.5, which is a little close considering we're already around 26 with 3 more, including today, 4 trading days. And we collected 28,000. And these are the 2 previous trades, right, done on last week. So I reset the money to show it for May, and I can add April and May together since we didn't pay out. Most of the funds paid out in declaration time, right? Look at the share count. We went from 275 the end of last week. So on Monday, we're up to 400,000 shares, right? So that's money flowing in. So look at the cash, right? So from last week, the change was 2.5 million. We put on some contracts, and we have more cash. You know, whenever shares come in, they like to utilize those shares, and it's money for all intents and purposes. So let's take a look. Oh, one thing I didn't do, I didn't go out and update this from ProShares, but I will, to see what they did on Monday, right? But these are turning positive as well. Let's take a look at our other synthetic. So I talked about the 29, right? No new trades on the 29. We lowered our loss because we moved up, right? Actually, they're showing that, yeah. So let's take a look at the 26. So here we are at the 26. And we made money on this one, right? This is the new 26 strike out on June 21. So the synthetic, and it's okay to run by this one, right? We want to run by this one crazy. We want to be at 35 or 40. Because on the synthetic, you make all the money by just going aggressively. This is a full-on long, right? The only balance that these Geomax funds have is the weekly call. They go out a little bit into the, out of the money, 5 to 15%, and they try to limit the downside. If BITO goes down a little, then they don't typically go down as much because they're collecting revenue on the call that they sold, right? But when we aggressively move up, that call gets capped, and we have to buy it back sometimes and lose a little bit of money. But let me explain to you on the synthetic. So here we are with a 26 strike, and we can go to June 21, right? Because we're at 25.66, the call right now is only worth $1.70, right? And that's all time premium, right? Because we're not even at 26. But let's say, for instance, that BITO runs to $32. Okay, so at $32, it's $6 above this. So if it did it with a week to go, it probably would have a value of like $6.50 or something, right? So $32 would translate with a week to go to maybe, what did I say, 32, $6.50. Okay. So I'm going to put my 1.7 so I can put it back. It's just a teaching exercise for you guys. Okay, so at 32, this is now 6.50, we'll call it, right? It would be a minimum of 6 right at expiration because it's $6 above the value, okay? So instead of being a minus 3.1 or 3 under, right, this would be 0. This is all this can do is go to 0. So all of a sudden, you turn a loss into a $600,000 gain, right? And for every bit you go higher, then you have even more. And this isn't, up to June 21, we could easily. 33 is around 72 or 73,000 in BTC. So all of a sudden, you see how these synthetics can just kick butt, right? So what do we have out in our holdings, right? Whoops, in our payment. I have been showing you this. Okay, well, I added a little bit of the May money, so this moved up. I added this 26 synthetic to the 29. So already we're up to 48 cents that we could pay out. And this is what, how many trading days in? The 20, this is like, 10 trading days, something like that. If I go back there, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading days. So this fund is doing very, very well, right? That's how they collect and how they make money. So all of a sudden the synthetic, would have another 600,000 if that thing flips. And because what happens here on the synthetics, when you sold this, we got more money than the put. We sell a put, buy a call. So we get credit, even if it's a negative, we get credit with 130,000, right? So, but what we want to do is win big down here, right on this closeout. So I'm going to go put these values back. So that just gives me a chance to show you guys how this stuff really works. And the reason I use a positive and negative here on this count, this is 930. I don't know why it's not. So we even have, and a negative can be a gain, right? So the way I put that, we would change it around slightly. But the point is, we would make 600,000 if we ran to 32, and anything above that would be more. And that's just one synthetic. Look at what would the 29. Well, the 29 will end up rolling. We only have another 6 trading days, so we want to get somewhere back up there, right? We don't want this 347 down here to hurt us, right? We want to get up to maybe 28, 27 and a half so that we don't have much of a losing position here. Okay, so let's we covered these. Is there anything else I can teach you guys? Here's our weeklies to show, right? These are the guys that can help or hurt us, right? These are the ones that YieldMax intends to just pick up a little money along the way. The only time it doesn't do that is when Bitcoin runs, right? BITO and Bitcoin run. Like here we've got 1980, right? So when we go back and we look at that, those generated 75 grand. Okay, we only sold them for 38 cents, so they generated 75 grand. Well, if we run past 26, once we go to 26.38, we lost the 75 grand and we're break even. They gave us 75, we give it back to them. If this thing were to go to 27, we're having to pay, 62 cents here times 1980. So now it's going to cost us money, right? So they refer to these as a covered call, but we never own any BITOs, so they're not really a covered call. They're just kind of covering being 100% long in the synthetic, right? Because the synthetic is buy call, which is 100% bullish, sell put, which is 100% bullish. So this is the balancing, the oar in the back that helps steer the rowboat. So that's the whole purpose of these things. And they work pretty well, honestly. They do a good job of generating income. You just don't want to own something that your chart is going down. If something is bearish and the chart says this thing is just massively declining and you're sitting in one of these income funds, you'll still make money in the dividend, but you'll get crushed in the NAV, right? So you want a flat, a slightly down, or a bullish, and then you will make money. So think about that. Know what you own, right? And all stocks. I mean, NVIDIA is a classic. I think it runs back up to 915, 920, and then I think it goes back and sees 700. Now, do you want to trade in and out of these funds a lot? I don't know, but I mean, stocks are prone to having up cycles and down cycles, and when you own these, and they're going to soon have a NVIDIA bearish, right? So maybe own a bull and own a bear and get income on both. It's just if you see a pattern where it's going to move one direction. You know, the reason I like a lot of the BTC and Bitcoin oriented, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. I think over the next 6 to 9 months, you have tremendous upside, you know, but I have that feeling in several other things that YieldMax doesn't have funds. I think silver runs, I think platinum runs, I think gold runs, I think some food groups in agriculture, you know, I think there's certain things that are going to do pretty well, and usually right now they're commodity oriented with this stagflation. But I don't want to get you off on different topics, but so we looked at the weeklies, right? We've got only 150,000 or something. So this is the chart. I didn't update it, but if you look at where we are, 2566, and then here we are at about 26 at the opening today, you know, we're right in the middle of this bull flag, right? So this thing can break either way. It can break down, but I drew this other support line, and look at where we stopped. This is just about where BITO, right, is what I'm showing, because BITO maps to Bitcoin. This is a perfect, you know, channel, and we could stay here at the mid-cycle. We could move up and touch 29 and bounce back down, right? You know, ultimately you want it to break out and not break down. And look at your volume chart, right? And a little bit of movement, now it's coming back. And by the way, when these things break, you know, sometimes they'll break above the channel, they'll run to 32 or 33 and then come back and retest the breakout, right? And then take off in a more upstream pattern. So there's just some things that I look for in charts and try and assess. But as I said, overall I'm bullish. I like this YBIT. There's many alternatives. I mentioned to you guys I own BITO itself, right? It paid a decent yield, but I honestly think YieldMax is going to end up paying more money. I think BITO may more closely track the actual performance of BTC when BTC goes ballistic, right? But YieldMax will capture 60-70% of the up move in the aggressive moves and pay you a nice yield. So again, you guys look at my video on total return, right? Because, you know, I won't say I argue, because people don't usually know. You know, if somebody will make a blanket, oh, all the YieldMax ETFs are a scam. All they do is erode the NAV. It'll go to zero and you'll never get any money, right? You'd think at least they'd say, well, maybe in a year and a half you were paid 1.5 times what you invested, you know. So when I talk about total return, look at the video. I say, how much did you get paid, right? I invested $20 in YBIT, and I got back $16 in 9 months, and now the stock's trading at 10. So I lost $10 there, but I made 16 over here. So I'm $6 on 20, right? So that's a decent yield. That's how you have to look at these. And when you get a good one, and you dollar cost average, or you do what you need to do, then it's not that hard to work these to your favor. And there's some hedge strategies in the comments if you guys want to, and you don't know, right? There's a lot of inverse. I think there's inverse BITOs. I have a whole list of crypto longs and double longs and shorts and double shorts, and you know, there's all kinds of ways to somewhat protect yourself, right? Okay, guys, I'll leave it at that at the moment. Let me see if there's anything else in here. We closed at 1957. They're saying that's a little overpriced, the fair value based on the share count, and the net assets was 1931. But we're doing good. You know, we're moving back up. So that's all I got. Again, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. This is not financial advice. There's always risk involved in securities. Don't chase just yield. This is for fun and education. See you guys. Bye. Have a great trading day, great investment day ahead.